Do you think that people need to go through something in order to make these messages of Hasidus or, personal development real? Like, do I need to face a certain meitzar or a gvul or a certain brokenness or a challenge that is
Powerful
humbling?
question. Very, very powerful question. Very powerful question. So here is the truth, and here is how we apply the truth. The truth is, we are all facing the greatest abandonment wound that anybody can imagine. It's called the soul coming into the body. As the Alter Rebbe puts it in hundreds of discourses, and he wasn't saying this as poetic fiction, but as literally energetic reality. The consciousness of every Jew is literally infinity. It's pure infinite oneness and bliss. That rupture, that departure in our own perception, where the soul is thrown off a cliff, what he calls me'igra ramalabira mikta, from the sublimest of mountains, of divine, majestic heights, into a dark abyss, and suddenly, boom, the animal soul takes over and says, okay, you got to survive, but you know what? I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. How do we turn you into a celebrity? How do we turn you into a powerful person? How do we turn you into a respectful guy? How do we turn you into a tzaddik, into a lovable guy? Whatever your animal soul, the trajectory it takes by figuring out your strengths. And by the way, the animal soul is brilliant and clever. And right away, it's adjusts. It creates all the neural pathways and all the neurons in the most, you got to give this animal soul credit because it is brilliant. Talk about PhDs. When you're 1 week old, it already figured out a pathway for life and you just play it out. And then you're 40 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, and we're just coping. And the animal soul makes adjustments every second of the day so that nobody catches you and you don't even catch yourself. And I may live my entire life not knowing that I'm simply coping and surviving and running away from all the things that I don't even know how to face. So we are all dealing with this, no matter what family or circumstances you grew up with. However, and I said this the other day in the class, and I was very emotional when I said it. I said, all those of you who experienced those curveballs that really, really derailed the course of your life and has given you tremendous, tremendous angst and created crises in your life. And I don't say this without empathy. I say this with a lot of love and empathy. But at some moment, you're going to be so thankful because it's those traumas that you experienced that woke you up to the true trauma that we are all dealing with. And it's called, in Chassidus, it's called the first tzimtzum, which means basically the perception of being abandoned, of being in an empty space devoid of God. And specifically, it's my soul, your soul, our soul, coming into a body and an animal consciousness in a completely new reality where it has to rediscover its relationship with Hashem completely within and from a place of tremendous choice and creativity and courage, dealing with so many distractions that are not its fault. Like, wow. And when we become aware of this emotionally and energetically, and we realize the greatness that we have every moment to make a choice in which world we're going to live. Am I going to live what Alter Rebbe calls in the Klipa reality, where basically I'm living in shells and husks and cover-ups and blockages? And that means every conversation with my wife, with my children, with myself, with my friends, with my students, with my constituents. It means when I'm sitting on the couch, and when I'm making money, when I'm in show, and when I'm serving God, but I'm living in these shells and husks. There's a lack of true authenticity. And I also have a choice to live in the frequency of oneness. Like, wow, how powerful, how powerful. When I started, when you start feeling these things energetically, it's a different life.
So
Life is
so so so
transformed.
that's of course, and I 100% am in alignment with what you're saying. And I think what you're talking about is the macrocosmic level of we have that abandonment wound, but on a microcosmic level, when I experience something like that that resembles that wound. We re-experience the wound that was originally experienced. We have to go through that where we feel the original trauma leads to the trauma playing itself out because we eventually have to work on it. Do I have to go through something to feel that original abandonment wound, to feel that original soul coming down into the body and feeling that angst or that why am I here?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I ask every day. So I'm not in a position to answer that question. And the reason is because it's Hashem, the creator of the universe, who designs the path of every individual that their soul needs to become the person that they're supposed to become. So what any person needs, I cannot answer that question. I could just speak from personal experience and so many people I've dealt with and had encounters with. And that is that the micro traumas that play themselves out in our life, the massive ones, the huge ones, rape, molestation, horrible abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, whatever, dysfunctional families, abandonment through caregivers, even emotional neglect, which may not seem very dramatic, but it's very dramatic inside the heart, right? So when I say massive trauma, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a headline in the newspaper, but it's a headline in my own brain. It could be a headline, right? Or traumas that are not even noticeable to the child. The child may say, I had a perfect life, I had a perfect upbringing, amazing, but they suffered stuff. And as a result of that, they shut down. So I think all of us know that there was probably nobody that, if we dig a little deeper, has not experienced some rupture in the attachment that they needed, some wound. So it's obviously that this is designed. It's not like this random mutation that one person's mother or father didn't know how to be parents. Like everybody at some point is experiencing a wound, some people in much more dramatic and vivid ways. But let's face it, you're in Costco with your mother as a baby, right? And she goes down to another arm and you woke up and for 3 minutes, your mother was not there. Nobody even knows what that baby experienced in those 3 minutes. Nothing happened. This is an unbelievable mother, an amazing mother. This is purely designed from heaven. So I think, ultimately every single person goes through things in life that if we're going to open ourselves up to it, probably I would say most of us will have to face deeper wounds. And I think the ultimate healing and purpose of that is to really bring us back to the ultimate purpose, which is surrendering all of our need to be separate and our fear around that to the place where we're never abandoned. Exactly how every person reaches that, I'm not in a position to answer that. I can't